Are you as excited to see this thing run as I am? Well, let's see. Hey everybody, it's Cody, Dixon RC here. So we are going to put electronics and some other stuff in our Gmade Komodo double cab kit. It's taken me a while to get this part. I did not have any servos, and I was really on the fence on what kind of servo I wanted to run. I was going to try 777, but not too worried about that. It's a little overkill for this kind of truck here. Debated between the 46 kilogram JX servo and also the new, I was going to try the new Power Hobby 63 something. Anyway, it's like a $60-70 servo, 400 ounces, 7.4 volts, waterproof, metal gear, nice. It's a nice servo. So, excuse me, it's $56. Sorry. So I wanted to try it, but I can't get one fast enough in order to do this. So I may drop down to that eventually. So what we're going to do today, we're going to basically just do electronics and one other thing. We're going to cover a lot in this video as far as what we're doing. I've got, I actually figured out a way to put some kind of side rails in this thing, rock sliders, whatever you want to call them. We'll get to that later. That'll be the last thing we talk about. First, we're going to do electronics. So we're going to go over electronics. Of course, I got a FlySky GT5 receiver. I snatched this out of one of my other cars because I don't have enough of those to do anything with right at the moment. We are going to go with the new Charisma ARC2 brushed ESC. This is a fully programmable ESC similar to the 1080. It is waterproof. It comes with a XT60 plug already on it. It also comes with motor leads already on it instead of having to solder leads or figure out what you want to do. And of course they're extra long so you can really get to what you want to do. Now, the other cool thing about this deal is compared to the 1080 is it has an external power switch. Yes, the 1080 has a power switch, but it does not have a removable power switch. This one just had a basic on-off switch, and I have cut the wires and soldered them together because when you plug a battery in, it's going to come on. That's what I want. We'll talk about this more in just a little bit. Of course, JX 46 kilogram servo, tried and true. I like it. They're in pretty much everything I have, including I put them in some bashers. So they're a great servo. They work really well. So we're going to do that. And we're going to use the new Boom Racing Terra X Pro 13 turn 5-pole 5-slot brushed motor with the stock pinion for now until we can figure out how I want to do it, if I want it to go faster or slower or anything like that. I've already soldered the wires and I double checked them to make sure I did them, put them in the right spots as well. That's really pretty much the only electronics stuff we're going to do. Basic brush setup, nothing crazy. I don't really know what else. I don't really think I want to do anything else as far as that goes. We'll get to some other upgrades down the road. The next thing we're going to talk about is putting rock sliders on this. I actually took a set of the TRX4 GRC sliders that I sell that I use on the Sport, and I've sold numerous amounts of these. They work, but they do not work like you can't just go and just put them on there and bolt them up and they'll be ready to go. You've got to do a little bit of work. It took me a little while to, not really took a little while, but it took me a little back and forth to figure out how I wanted to do this. Whether I wanted to move them or whatever, we'll get to that later. So we'll talk about that. That's the last thing we'll talk about. I'll show you what you need in order to make it work on top of just that. You've got to have more stuff on top of it. So I'm going to come around here above like always. We're going to install all this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and tell you I've installed most of this stuff already before I have shot this video. This is the second time I've shot it. I was not happy with the first time I shot it. I did not have a servo the first time I shot it, and that's pretty much why. I wasn't happy with it, so I scrapped that whole deal and started over. So we'll just do it this way. So I'll be back around in a little bit and we'll install everything and we'll have some running, and thank goodness, because I'm ready to drive this thing. So just hang tight. I'll be around in a minute. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to show you everything I'm using here. So this is the new Boom Terra X Pro 13 turn. This is equivalent to about a 35 turn 3-slot. This is a 5-slot, so the numbers are a little bit different because it's got multiple more. It doesn't take as many turns in the windings as it does on the 3-slot. So this is the new Charisma ARC2. It is a waterproof brush motor ESC. It does have a 7.4 BEC, 3 amps. It'll do 3S LiPo. It does have a program card, but it does not, you have to actually plug this into this. There's no port on here like the 1080 has. Now, this thing, difference between it and the 1080 mainly is the switch. It's got leads on it already. The other is it has something called hill descent on it. It's very similar to the Axe Systems hill descent as well. You know, when you're going down the hill, it keeps the same throttle or the same torque or whatever. It doesn't have the torque thing on the startup like the Axe does, but it does have hill descent. So that's pretty cool, a little bit different. Something that would be neat to try out. And this thing is about $3 cheaper than the 1080. So keep that in mind as well. And we're gonna go, of course, the JX cordless 46 kilogram servo. Tried and true, it works. So not, you know, I know a lot of people, some people don't like them, but you know, I like them, they work. So, and of course, fly sky receiver. I just robbed that out of a touring car, I think. So I'm gonna also use, with the servo when I mount it, I'm gonna use the 1UP Racing servo screws. They have a indention in here in the head that bolts into the, it just fits directly. Like, I mean, it's a solid mount. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can get it where you can see it. But anyway, it makes it so you don't have to have washers. You don't have to have any of that stuff. You just use a screw. As soon as those come back in stock, I'll have a bunch of them on the site. I think it's a great alternative, and they're not but like $6 or $7, I think. Anyway, I'll have those on the site as soon as I can get some more. They're out right now, of course. I'm out of everything. I don't have too many of anything. So, all right, so I'm using the stock pinion that comes with the kit. I think it is I think it's a 13. Yeah, it's a 13. So you'll find out that you've got 2 holes here, and the idea is that so you can kind of move it, figure out where you want to put them. So got that. I'm going to, I've lost the screw. No, I got it. So you find it's got numbers on it, 14. So you find 13. And then also wanted to make sure I had these up, you know, so I can move them where I want them to go. I don't want them at the bottom down here. So we will do that. Start it just a little bit so you can have some more wiggle room. And then it has numbers on both sides. There's no letters. There's no trying to figure out what's what. You pretty much got one option, and that's pretty much it. So I kind of like this idea as far as having a simple way to do that. The only downside to it is you really have no option in mesh. Say you like to run your stuff a little tighter than, say, somebody else does, or you know, you run it looser than, say, I do, or whatever. You know, there's no correct way now because you just got one way. But I mean, that's pretty good. Well, once you get it in there all the way anyway. It does slide in. There it goes. That's it. It's there. There we go. So now, always remember when you're building this to put this on first, do the motor first, because if you install this like I did, you have to remove this in order to get this bolt out of here because it goes into this skirt here. Same on the other side as well, but there's not a box on the other side. The box bolts here. So technically that goes underneath it because it's got a little indentation for it to go into. It sits like that. So keep that in mind when you're building. I did not do that because, well, I didn't know what I was going to do to begin with. So hence why I didn't do that. So you get your, I think these are 3x12s. Screw them in here. I'm just going to do them a little bit here so I can get the screw gun and do that. And be careful with Gmade plastic. It is not torque friendly with a gun. I know like Traxxas and some axials, I've been lucky enough, they do pretty well with that. These do not. This is not for that. So you know, this is a very similar build to a 10.2 axial car. Frame rails are very similar. The the shock towers are the same. They're not same, excuse me. They're very similar. Sorry, but and also the battery tray, the servo mount, everything's very, very similar to an axial truck. Here's the difference: there is no wire management in this one versus, say, the 10.2 that's got the you know, like there's a trough that'll go through here so you can run your however it is you want to set up your stuff. And speaking of that, I may actually put this over here now that I think about it, because everything's going to be over here. That may be because this, I don't want this to, gotta figure that out. Anyway, so we'll put this in. Of course, you know, the gear has to face towards the front because that's where you want it to face. Get your little nice, pretty little one-up racing screws. Do them a little bit do each one a little bit so you can make sure everything lines up the way you want it to. And it's not going to. So this thing does have an adjustable mount here on the back side, just like an axial has as well. So you got to move it where you want it. And I'll drop the screw. If you see sweat dropping down into the picture, sorry about that. It's South Georgia and it's 90 degrees today. It is hot out here. Working on, got to get some kind of air conditioning unit out here because this is not going to work. I'm not happy about being out here in this heat. So this is a metal cased servo. So technically it should just go right on. It'll self-center itself. And it'll go, you hear it go zeep whenever you tighten it. I'm sure the torque's going to kick in. Yep, there it was. Torque kicked in as well. I'll tighten down this mount. Also, I'll check it with my hand because that didn't sound great. There it goes. Okay, so we're good. So that's on. That's tight. No problems there. Next will be the ESC, which I need to take. I'm going to go ahead and take this apart here so I can take apart this box for your electronics. I already put the foam down on here. I think the way they want you to do this, kind of like a Traxxas where it goes across and goes down in. Yeah. And that's what we'll do, if that's what they want us to do. First things first, I'm going to bolt this back down to where it needs to go. It actually bolts in from the bottom, which is strange because it's something hanging down below these little side steps here. But it is what it is. Won't be too bad of a deal. So this is supposed to be a waterproof case. It does have an O-ring around it. You do have the foam here for the front part of the box. Granted, it's probably not going to be watertight. I say tight because I don't know. We'll find out. You know me, I'm going to put it in the water, so we'll see. We'll get some little tape here for the receiver to put down in the box, even though I hardly ever do this because most of the time I'm trading stuff out so much it doesn't even matter. I'm going to put this thing towards the back of the box because I want to be able to have wire movement and space to wrap wire around so I can put as much wire in here as possible. And then I got to find, I think it's just these screws here. So we'll flip this over here. And then we find, there it is. This may not be the actual screw that goes into this, but I think it will work. I don't know if that's right or not, but I ain't gonna worry about it because we're gonna it'll work good enough. Moving the board. All right, so we got that plugged in, or excuse me, screwed in. So got the servo done. Gonna have to figure out how to do wiring on that. I would assume I'm probably going to keep the ESC. We'll have to put the ESC somewhere else. So that's gonna go like that. The ESC is gonna have to go over here. I would guess because of where everything else is. So we'll do that. Double-sided tape, just like always. Use this stuff on everything. We're just going to put it right here because this is kind of a general, it's kind of a flat-ish spot versus the other spot. You know, like here, there's more ridges on this side than there is. This is really flat, so it gives you a nice spot to do this with. Then this will just feed over. I'll figure out some way to feed that over here so it's it fits under there nicely. Okay, good. So we're good. All right, we'll be fine. All right, so next we'll be hooking motor wires up. Of course, it's got it marked red to red, and then you'll do black to black for positive and negative. Of course, that is the downside to these boom ones here. That does seem to come off. It come off the last time I did it too as well. I can see why, because it is not. There we go. There we go. All right, so we're good on that. Next thing to do would be to figure out some way to, I would say I probably will, this is always the hardest part, trying to clean wiring up because it's never nice. Probably will zip tie those there or just keep that down here. Can't keep it down there because the thing's going to bolt in there. Anyway, we'll figure that out later. Battery will go there. Be good to go. So next we're going to hook power up as well because we need to be able to check and be sure the servo is centered. Figure out where negative is. Channel 1. The other downside to this is there is no markings on this on what's positive, negative, and signal. So you have to go down here. There is an X. I'm assuming that's going to be negative or ground. So we'll do that. So I went and grabbed me a little 3S battery. All right, so I plugged everything up. Figured out what I was doing. I was doing something wrong there. Anyway, so we got servo in. Servo is centered. So we're going to bolt said servo up. So I'm going to have to do some trim because this was on the touring car. So I'm going to have to do some trimming settings on it because it's not going to be correct at all. So we will get this close here as we can. That's it. First hit. Boom. I like that. I like when it does that. Find a screw here that will go in. Getting bit by a dang some sort of bug. No good. Alright, I'm going to take the dang pan hard mount bar out of the way. So thing here and see. It's going to rub. So I'm using a TRX4 servo horn. I don't think it's going to work. It'll work for now until I can figure out what I need to do, because I think I'm going to have something else besides that. I don't think, and you can see, I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see the horn. See how it's got a scratch mark on it? It's rubbing the mount right there. It's just that part of it's too high. So I'm going to get, I've sold out of the 10-2, the Boom Racing narrow horns or whatever they're called, low profile horns. I've just sold out of those, so I don't have any to put in right now. So make sure everything works. It's real smooth. You can hear how smooth it sounds. Cool, that's going to work nice. And we have not done any kind of adjusting on this servo, or excuse me, the ESC at all. So everything the way it is pretty much the way it's going to be. So pretty good. So that's running. So that's considered, that's as good as I'm going to get as far as running goes for the moment, because I don't have it, like I said, I need to get a better horn for that, but it is running. So now let's talk about these sliders. So this is technically these are the sliders for the GRC TRX4, or for the TRX4 made by GRC. They are just a simple rail with just, they'll pretty much work on almost anything, but the difference in this one is you have to brace it. I mean, you have to put some work into it to get these to work. So what do? You get these, you figure out where you want them to go with your body. Now that's the first thing, because everybody is going to want them to fit a little bit different than somebody else. So for these front two, there's two tabs that stick up here. I'm sure these are for the other, for the BOM GSO2 chassis. It came with rock sliders. Why this one didn't is beyond me. So anyway, you take and you get, we'll measure these out. So what you'll do is you'll have to buy these, and you'll have to buy a set of hot racing standoffs, M3 aluminum standoffs, or if you have your own, because K&K's got them, everybody's got them. So I bought a bunch from K&K. So on these front two holes, you will do a 5mm spacer. They'll go here, and I got another one here, there, and there. And so what you'll do is you get a, this is not a very big long screw at all, probably 8mm tops. You want to get it in here, because this one, and see, that happens. No, dropping all of them. There's not much thread in there, but it's enough to hold, because you'll see why in just a second when I do the secondary one here. You just want to get it started to where you can move it, because then you'll get the other one, stick it through there, put the standoff in. Of course, with this one, the wires are right in the way, so you'll move it, and boom, there you go. Tighten it down just a little bit. Leave them loose, because you want to be able to maneuver them, because now here's the part you're going to have to do some work. So on both sides, you'll have to take a drill and drill into the plastic. Just use this as your guide. Tighten this down all the way. Use this as your guide so you can make sure it's semi-close. I used a 2.5mm drill bit, because you want this to screw into that. And the reason why you leave these loose is so you can maneuver these around on them like that. See, there you go. See, and you'll have to kind of force it in there, kind of deal, because it is a smaller screw hole, so it's going to have a little bit of pressure to it. And these are I keep getting bit by something. So these are probably 14, 8x14, 3x14. I would imagine somewhere around that area. Then you just go to tighten it down, all the way down. Go ahead and tighten these down too as much as you can. They're not going to tighten down too much, because they're not that long anyway. So now, these are in here. They're on both sides. They're very nice. Like I say, I'm not going to show you where I put them as far as on the actual thing, because everybody's is going to be different. But I do want to show you. Now, the downside and the caveat to this is it does stick, these sliders are stuck out a little bit longer than, say, normal, so to speak. So they make it, does make it, they don't fit, but once it's done, it takes, you got to do a little bit more work to put the body down. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So there, they are installed. The body fits, man, it fits so nice. It's perfect. It's going to be, that's probably one of the best upgrades for this particular truck here. The fact that they fit like they do, and they fit. Now, of course, it does. You've got to, when you go to install them, you've got to kind of move the body out a little bit, because they kind of, this body wants to go in this way. So you kind of got to push them out a little bit. So not a big deal though. And still though, so awesome. So that's pretty much it, guys. We got electronics in it. All I got to do is tidy up wiring and get a better horn, because that horn's not going to work. So once I get that done, we'll be ready to go, and I'll get running video. I'll have a separate running video than this video here, because this is already too long and in depth anyway. So we'll do that, and then thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate all the support, likes, subscribe, tell all your friends to subscribe. We're getting close to 2,000. We've done really good. So keep it going, and we'll get some more footage and different trucks, and we'll do some more building and some different things. I got a lot of stuff lined up and ideas I want to do, so hopefully I get to do all these things. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Just wanted to show I got wiring done. I zip tied here, here, here. Kind of keep it like that. The battery I'm going to let hang. I want to show I got the box in it. Routed the wire that way. It's pretty good. It's going to be nice. So I wanted to show you the little rails. I mean, their fitment is so nice, so great. This truck's coming together pretty well. I like it.